Hi there, and welcome back to my channel. It is Christy here to do the weekly reading for the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius, if you don't know your moon and rising sign, you can check a link in the description box to alwaysastrology.com, and that way if you want more information for the week, you can look at your moon and rising sign readings as well. However, you could find this perfectly satisfying to watch only your sun rising or your sun sign tarot reading for the week. So I hope that you enjoy this all the same. This is for the week of June 20th to the 27th. I'll be using the Wisdom of the Oracle deck for the general spread, and then drawing a card each from the Healing with the Angels tarot and the Medicine card tarot as always. This is a general reading, so whatever is most prominent in your life this week, Sagittarius, I encourage you to apply these messages to, and I hope that you find them helpful and healing. So links to the cards I'm using are in the description box, as well as to a link to my ebook and a little description about why I do what I do. I anticipate the uploading of sort of face-to-face videos around mid-July, where I'll be delving into concepts in the book, for example, like meditation and tarot and volunteerism and basically healing on all levels. So I look forward to you sticking around for that and being a part of this big healing movement. So I've got a couple of jumpers. I'm going to wait till I get one each. We've got a new moon in Cancer on the solstice on the 21st this week. So any clearing energy you have to do around Cancer related or fourth house related issues, that's mother, home and hearth, female reproduction systems, psychic energy, intuition, anything around that. You can certainly do clearing spells or clearing intentions on the 21st, where the moon is full and it's in the new moon in Cancer, and you could find it to be very potent. So, Sagittarius, I wish for you all success, joy, and wellness. I call upon Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Metatron, and Uriel to guide this reading in peace, clarity, protection, and wisdom. And I ask that Gaia please bless this reading for Sagittarius. Now, interesting for you, we've got the All That Glitters Isn't Gold card. Now, I added isn't gold, but that's what this card is generally speaking trying to assess here for you, is that all that glitters isn't gold. Something that you thought was going to bring you power, whatever that means for you, isn't acting, behaving, looking like, being realized, etc., in the way that you had anticipated. And it will be not an entire letdown necessarily, Sagittarius, but it will be unexpected, and you will feel, and I don't mean this like in a negative or toxic way, but you will feel, the best way I know how to put this, the words that are coming out of my mouth is winded. You'll feel like taken aback or winded, or I didn't expect that, and it'll be maybe even a little bit confusing because you thought that all of these eggs in this basket were going to bring you something powerful or something that looked or is assessed or perceived to be powerful, and it isn't working that way this week. So for whatever reason for you, again, not toxic, not terrible, nothing's falling apart here necessarily, and it could even just be that this is relegated to the psychic, spiritual, emotional, psychological world. This doesn't even have to be manifesting on the material world. It could be. But even if this is a thought process or an idea or a behavior or set of behaviors here, something isn't clicking the way that you wanted it to, and it will be a really big surprise to you. Again, not overly negative, just kind of like, like, all right, didn't expect that. I'm gonna have to sort of go back to square one. Which again isn't always a negative thing either. Sometimes you have to start over. Some of the best minds in the world, we can agree, right? Sometimes you have to take a couple steps back in order to really forge ahead. So this is all this is doing this week, Sagittarius. Nothing terribly upsetting. It's going to be a little bit of a step back for you to go, oh, or assess something differently. And with the higher power card and the observer on the other side, this is something that this could be new territory for you. With the higher power and the key in her forehead, for example, something that's looking upon you, something that you're looking at with fresh eyes, or you're being forced to look at with fresh eyes. I don't think this is going to cause discomfort necessarily, but it's going to be new, which could be exciting, right? And then with the observer card over here, this is something that you are observing. You're observing almost like your own feelings, emotions, and sensations from a distance. I just don't see it as a negative thing. It's just something that I see is being done out of a sense of self-protection. So just throwing that out there. Perhaps you could get deeper and more involved and more accepting and willing and even vulnerable if this were to play out, keep playing out for you. But for the time being, you're looking at it a little bit from a distance to keep a safe distance. And if that's going to get you through the week, Sagittarius, by all means, go for it. Because like I said, you're going to be a little bit winded, or your breath will be taken away a little bit. So it might even be the best way to go about how to react to this week. I'm really excited for you. I'm excited to learn what this is. Ultimately, the overall energy for the week is the Loyal Heart. This is one of the most beautiful cards out of this deck. You can see that there's not only two owls, so intuition times two. Great deal of intuition here. We've got the mauve and the purple in the back, which are colors of ascension. We've got colors of ascension in the higher power card, obviously, here as well. So there could even be like a spiritual revelation here, even though you might be uncomfortable calling it that. And you certainly don't have to use the language that you're comfortable with. But that's what appears to be going on here. There's a great deal of heart, generosity, peace, tranquility, even a sense of being above something. Okay, here's where it gets tricky. Be careful what you think you're above, okay? If this is about spirituality, if this is about the emotional, basically the non-material world, even in the material world, I would watch your step this week in terms of feeling that you're better than somebody else, or you have something that someone else covets and that's going to give you a feeling of superiority. Try to avoid that, Sagittarius, this week. It just doesn't behoove any personality type, but it's actually going to work against you this week if that's how you go about it. But generally what we're looking at here with the crowns on these intuitive symbols and the sense of love and the ascension here is to remember, particularly because this is in the center and the higher powers to the side, if this is a spiritual, emotional, or psychological endeavor and you're recognizing that something is a little bit out of balance for you, a little bit beyond you, please practice a little bit of humility this week if possible, okay, Sagittarius, because you're entering new ground. I think it's brave that you're doing this, but if you can, there is a great deal of skepticism, perhaps even cynicism, if not careful, that you can inject into this moment, into this process, etc. this week. And I think you're being advised not to do that. If at all possible, Sagittarius, avoid cynicism and skepticism this week. You're certainly allowed to ask questions and recognize truths and patterns, and etc., and feelings and emotions. These are all very important. But remember that the end of this phrase is that all that glitters isn't gold. Things aren't going to be the way you expect them to be this week, particularly in the material world, but because we have so much going on with intuition, spirituality, and gaining perspective on something here, you're being asked to develop a different attitude, okay? So with the higher power here, again, with the keyhole, this is the third eye. This is learning something that is above and beyond what ordinary people are looking at. Perhaps this is new for you. If it is, please remember to assess these worlds, these concepts with some sense of humility versus cynicism, okay? And then with the observer, I think this is your opportunity this week, Sagittarius, to gain perspective. Perspective can look like appreciation. It can look like just being grateful. It can look like loyalty, right? It can look like I can still be myself. I can still have these friends. I can still be the person I've always been. I can look at things skeptically, but that doesn't mean I have to be skeptical about them. So observing, being accepting, letting things be, not expecting more from them, and not expecting to feel superior because of an accomplishment or an attitude that's perhaps becoming outdated here. I would say, especially looking at things from a distance here, is all about perspective. Anyway, I digress. I don't mean to repeat myself. It's just what's coming out of the cards when I look at them, and I suppose I go on too long. So I'm sorry if I go on too long. Okay, so we had a couple jumpers there. Let's look for one card here for my dear Sagittarians. This is unusual for you this week, by the way. I've been reading for your sign for the last, I don't know, I guess 2 months now, and you've just got luck, 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 good times, party, happiness, everything. Everything's going tickety-boo just the way you want. And this week you're like, oh, I got to assess something. So like, I'm a little bit relieved because Sagittarius, you've had a pretty easy last couple of months. And we all know in order to grow, in every area, in any area of our lives, we need to be met with something that needs to be taken to task. We need to really push ourselves a little bit and to challenge ourselves a little bit. So I think this is just a week for you where you're invited to challenge some perspectives and belief systems. And like I said, I think the only caution here is to be not cynical about it. Just be sort of gracious and even humble if you can about it, okay? And let's go for another couple of shuffles. If I don't get a jumper, I will draw from the deck. So one, here we go. Divine guidance. So holy smokes. Okay, so this is something that you may feel even particularly uncomfortable with. If you are a spiritually minded Sagittarius in the first place, this is not going to trip you up at all. Nothing about this week is going to surprise you. You're going to be like, yeah, no, totally. I've been waiting for this. On the other hand, if cynicism is your middle name, this is going to be a big whoa week for you. Not a bad whoa, just a whoa, I didn't expect that, or whoa, that was powerful, or something to that extent this week, Sagittarius. And with the last card for the reading is the Beaver, and the Beaver's keyword is builder. Now this is interesting because whether or not this is happening in the material world or in the mental, emotional, or intuitive world, this is something that you are willing to keep working on, something that you're willing to turn into something that is maybe even related to the fourth house, particularly this week with the new moon in Cancer on the solstice. It's very, very powerful time of year for many different reasons, but not least of which is because it's in the fourth house. It's a cardinal sign. It's an action sign. But it's also about family, hearth, and home, intuition, mother, women, etc. So whatever you're building here is, even if this is at the first stage, this is the first rung on a ladder that is going to take you somewhere. I don't think whatever's going on this week is a one-off. It's not like, oh yeah, no, I totally get it. Let's close the book on it and look at something else. This is something that I'm happy to say is intriguing to you, and you're looking at it carefully and always go into it with, a healthy skepticism, but avoid cynicism and try practicing a little bit of humility around this great deal of divine guidance and higher power here. You're definitely being, you're definitely feeling as though you're protected, and you might even be trying to laugh it off, but you know what? Protect it all nonetheless. So Sagittarius, that concludes your reading for the week. If you have a moment, please comment below. Let me know how this plays out for you this week. I'm always curious to hear how this works out for my dear Sagittarians. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I upload videos for your sign every week, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, take good care. Bye.